Today we're going to update on the 160-gallon shallow reef tank. What is going on, beautiful people? Good morning. Happy Monday. Hopefully you guys are enjoying a nice coffee with your tank as well. I figured today would be a good day to do a bit of an update on the shallow reef tank. So a bunch of little changes lately. I've been playing some different hardware. Building my anemone trap, that's a good one actually. I've been trying to get this nem out of the rock for close to 2 months now, pretty much since I upgraded. I started with 1 nem in the tank, then within a week I had 3. I got 1 out and 2 of them are still in here lurking. Normally I wouldn't mind, but he was starting to hurt some of the tips on some of the acros, so this guy's all kind of pale on there. The tips on this guy's all burnt from its tips hitting it. So this guy is going to get evicted, unless I can get him in a place where he's not going to be rubbing up against the fancy acros. See, we actually used to be right over here, and I had a power head here, and I was blasting it with flow. So it was getting hit with flow over and over, and every day I kept upping at 10%. And eventually, it decided to go all the way through the rock. So apparently there's a hole in the rock from there to here, and he popped out this side. One method people say a lot is just ice the foot. Now I cannot get to the foot. When this guy is fully open, he is the size of my hand. If I touch him, he'll retreat into a hole the size of my pinky. So it's physically not possible to get to the foot on this guy. So something really cool that I did, I figured if you can't force him to move, you got to trick him to move. So I started playing with some thermoplastics. And what that is kind of little plastic beads in, like, I think there's like Reef cement, or there's a few different brands. I'll link them later once I find a couple good options, but they are basically, you can put them in hot water and it will become pliable. You can mold it together. And as it cools, which happens fairly quick in the tank, it will harden in place. So I built a dome around this guy and just put a little hole in the edge. That way I'm kind of blocking off his hole and forcing him to come up through my little creation in order to get light and flow. So nems can move, so I think I have to make him move to physically get out of the hole. Yeah, because he's not fully open, it leads me to believe that his foot is still inside of the old hole and he's just stretching out. If he does come out and come fully open, then I'll know he's walked out more. Now I'm going to give him a few more days, and if this doesn't work, I might actually build a second layer of like a dome on top of this, so there's 2 different layers. That way he has to walk even further to get to the light and flow. And I think by the time that happens, then I should be able to just pop off this little plastic structure and take him out with it. And so it'll be an easy way to remove it. So if you can't beat him, you got to work with them and make them move on their own for you. Now as for the rest of the tank, I've actually added a bunch more little stuff to the tank. I did get a few new zoas since the last update. And I also cleared out a bunch of stuff from the sand bed and the nano. So I have a bunch of rock flowers coming in, so I'm really excited. So the whole bottom of the nanos is gonna be covered in rock flowers soon. So I'm absolutely stoked for that and I'm gonna go pick them up this week. So I did order them from the States from Rubio's Coral, so hopefully that's nice and smooth, picking them up and bringing them back. So stay tuned for that, and that should be a good one. Now on the top, so I got tons of new corals on the sand bed, some which I still gotta find their permanent homes for. So the rainbow torch is still a little purpley. I've had this guy in here for a while. I moved in the toxic green torch, which was previously in the nano on the sand bed. To the side, we got the radioactive dragon eyes. And above it, I think those are just regular dragon eyes. Now, one of my new favorites lately is the Gonies. Goni Pore is a really cool coral. I got 2 different ones. I got this guy, it's nice and pink, a long tentacle. And I also got this little tiny short tentacle, which is kind of a red skirt with a bright yellow in the center. So this is more of a short tentacle encrusting one, so it should look really cool as it grows. But these are kind of my test subjects. The pink one's been in the tank for probably close to a month now, and it's been happy, it's been doing well. So I think it's a good sign that I should probably get some more soon. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for some different colors and some other ones to add to the collection. Next over, we got a little gold hammer to the right. Looks a little more greeny on video for some reason. Then we got the frog spawn. Going up from there, I got my purple hammer fading into my green hammer. And up to above it, we got the little ultra rock flower. So I think it's a rainbow, may not be a couple different colors, another red one in the back. I believe this guy is the blue matrix. Now, there was obviously a few issues in the past where some of the tips were burnt, but they're completely coming back and it's growing back over itself now. So that's always a great sign to see that the coral is healthy and recovering. If we go up a little bit, we got this guy, super polypy. He's doing really well, and behind it, I got my Palmer's Blue Millipora, which is one of my favorite frags, so I'm stoked for that guy coming back. Added a little pink Millipora too not too long ago, and you can see him starting to baste over onto the rocks. That's awesome to see. The one to the left here, it glows it. You can see the whiter tissue on here, and this was from the nem actually stinging it. When it was fully open, the little bubble tips would be all around this area, and it was actually lightning and killing. And it's not fully dead, but it's definitely injured. So I think now that he's moved, at least for now, he can't even touch it now because he can't come out far enough. So that might even be a solution right there. But just the fact that he's not rubbing against it and taking that out will go a long ways. And same thing if we come down here to the left. This guy, all the little tips were white just from the bubbles constantly smacking against it. So this hopefully will let it recover and grow back over itself. I'm not normally a big fan of Porcellopora. Generally they spread a bit too much, but this guy is the brightest green, probably my tank. Like, it is crazy how vibrant this is for Porcellopora. So I had to pick up this guy. I got this guy off Impact Aquariums, and yeah, it was just so bright I had to try it. At first I didn't even know what it was until I brought it home and did a bit of research, but yeah, it's a neon Porcellopora, so super bright, looking pretty cool. Just to the side over here, this is one I picked up a month or two ago. It's a rainbow loom. So far still pretty green, starting to get a little bit of color in the tips. I might actually up my lighting a little bit. I've been toying with the idea of doing, for about 3 hours of the day, up my par output a little bit. So I might do a par test on the tank soon, and we'll go from there and see how things are doing. If we look a little far in the back, sadly I did lose one guy. This is one of my ones from my frag box order that I did on Boxing Day just after Christmas, and he kind of sadly perished on me. Now if we look down a little bit lower, I got a candy apple red. I got some rainbow incinerators, which I'm super stoked on. I think those are purple people eaters. No, purple cat's eyes, purple ring, something like that. Miami Vice. I got a bunch of blue hornets. I think those ones are Pineapple Express. This one is Pink Hippos. That was one I took out of the Nano. Some Johnny Pumpkin Seed or something like that. These are red hornets. These guys are really cool, really good definition in them. And this guy is either a blue or a purple hornet, one of those. I think this one was like a blue tubs or blueberry or something like that. And this guy was a pink zipper, super cool. So I cannot wait for some of these guys to grow out some more. A little bent over right now, but this was a green Japanese toadstool that I brought over from the Nano. And same goes for the Duncans. They're still not fully opened up yet. Sadly, I lost some of them because I fell into a rock flower. And apparently the rock flower wins. This super cool little guy is a wild Aussie acra, I believe. I got this from my buddy, All Day Reef. So if you want to check out his Instagram, he has lots of cool stuff. But a little tiny twig of him off this guy, and he's completely encrusting on the coral. He's only been in the tank for a couple weeks. That guy is growing very well. So I can't wait to see how this does. I love those big furry polyps on it. We come around to the other side. I moved in some heads of Sunny D's, just bring a little color over here, so they're starting to grow. Below it, we had the Blue Eye Blonde. So a couple heads in there. I think I'm up to 4 now, so those are growing well. And a little chunk of Rainbow Monty that's starting to encrust, and we'll hopefully feel this whole little edge. Should look pretty cool. If you guys were paying attention, remember some of the older videos, the edge of this guy was actually kind of bit the dust. It had some issues. It wasn't quite as happy when I moved it. Its healthy skin's all growing back over the edge now, so that's awesome to see. This is fully coming back, and it's growing like crazy. Some of my other chalices aren't growing quite as fast, but Little Chalice Island is doing pretty well overall. And he's hiding right now, but I got a cool little Midas planting over there. If we step back a bit more, this Blasto, I've had this guy for ages. He's been super happy. This guy's actually probably been in my last 3 or 4 tanks now. He's been coming for the journeys. And the Acan Garden is looking nice and fluffy as always. The lights just came on an hour and a bit ago, so they're not fully open, but they're getting there. They're close to being fully puffy. Super cool though, absolutely love the Acans. A lot of people asking what I do for them. I don't necessarily do anything special. They get, I'm gonna say medium flow. I do have a power head that shoots this way at about 20%, and the other ones are pulsing from the back of the tank to the front. So they probably, I'm going to say medium flow. Par-wise, I'm guessing 100 to 120, but I'll actually par test the tank in the near future and let you guys know 100% what they're getting. I don't overly spot feed them directly very often. I do broadcast feed the tank itself quite a bit. So usually a couple times a week, I'll put in extra like Canalus and Mysis or sort of a bit of ReefDudes and just broadcast feed over the tank. Like put the big bits in for the fish, and then I'll dump the rest in and just let it go everywhere, all over the tank. And that's kind of one of my main ways of feeding the corals. Every once in a while I'll give them a squirt directly, but generally the fish just try and steal it away, so broadcasting the tank works pretty well. In the back, a couple heads of King Midas, I believe it's called. It's a fairly bright yellow and little scrambled eggs on top. And a couple other mystery acros around this guy. This guy's always crazily polypy as always. I believe it's a green millie. I don't actually know if it has a special name or not, but it's been happy. This guy reminds me of Chewbacca because it's always like fully polyps. Love it. Next over we have some form of a purple bonsai. It doesn't have the super greeny polyps as some of them do, but it's been in here for ages and it's starting to grow very nicely. Got a nice arch over top of here, so it'll fill in the space quite nicely once it grows. Got this clear acrylic tube, and I'm gonna try making a bit of a DIY coral viewer. So hopefully got some cool top-down stuff. So if this works out well, maybe I'll do a little like DIY on it later, and we'll go from there. So still looks pretty darn good. A little top down to the acan garden. Who doesn't love acans, right? Big fluffy guys. Supposedly this guy gets some crazy colors once it's happy, so might have to try and figure out the secret for him. So a little top down, those are fire and ice. All right, those guys are orange bam bams. Where are they? Those guys are alpha omega. Then we got some watermelon and some rastas. Got a couple little heads of blue-eye blondes. We got our rainbow Monty and some sunny D's. There's that super polypy wild Aussie acro I was talking about. Loving this guy. I think he's gonna look really cool once he grows out. Good old little bird's nest. And this one is pavona, or kind of a cactus coral. And as we got their scrambled eggs. Good healthy breakfast. And here's that neon green porcellopora I was talking about. Super duper vibrant. Cannot wait to see this guy grow out a bit more. Hopefully it doesn't take over the tank like some porcelloporas do, but at least it's super bright. This is my chewy acro, or aka it's a green millipora. Got all those polyps. Love this guy, he's so furry. In front of it, this guy is kind of a tealy green deep water acro. A couple of heads of outer chaos randomly on this rock. So cool if that guy grows out eventually. Those guys are the rainbow incinerator. Super cool, cannot wait for those to grow. So this guy, I have no idea what he is, but he's very yellowy and should be a really cool coral once it grows in. I've been on a bit of a quest for yellow corals the last little while. If anyone knows what he is, let me know. But yeah, he's gonna be awesome. There's the other one, similar kind of thing. It's kind of greeny, yellowy colors, and they're encrusting and pretty darn happy. This guy is still one of my favorites. It's a Palmer's Blue millipora. Super cool baby blue colors with extremely vibrant polyps. And our lovely bubble tip we're trying to evict, slowly but surely. Got our Goniopora. And of course the torches. I actually did order one of my kind of dream torches soon, which is an Aussie gold, so hopefully getting that in a couple weeks. I am super stoked for that guy. Now coming down to the stand and the hardware side of things. I'm still using the filter roller, absolutely loving it. My last roll I get asked this constantly. I think I had about 3.5 weeks out of my last roll. There is a little bypass door. I actually decided to open it up some more just today. So that will probably make the roll last a heck of a lot longer, not filtering 100% of it. I still sometimes wonder if the water can be too clean from too much filtering, so we'll see. So this will tone it down slightly. Skimmers, this is the coral box. I have been toying with upgrading it. I have someone actually ask if I want to sell this skimmer, so I may or may not upgrade it. I'm still on the fence. It's usually super dark. It overflowed a little bit because I was tweaking it too much, so super watery right now, but has been working pretty well. So on the fence, may or may not sell it. Next chamber over, we got the AI refugium light. You guys saw this video the other week. This thing has been growing like a champ. Before, when I first started it, I believe my phosphates were 0.15 after taking the turf scrubber off for a little bit. And I tested it a week ago and it was down to 0.1. I tested it yesterday and it was 0.03. So it's this massive freaking ball of shade on this light has been sucking out nutrients like crazy. Got the little mangrove on the side just for fun. Don't quite know what I'm going to do with it yet, but it's kind of fun. I may go in the nano late or something. Next chamber over, we got the dual return pumps. They're running about 50%. I've installed the auto feeder, so get the fish a few different snacks in the daytime. Now, a buddy the other day was asking about the Vertex calcium reactor, so a quick kind of rundown on this. So my setup that I'm using is using the Kimura pump. So Kimura is a really cool pump. It is continuous duty, and it's pretty tiny considering. I mean, you know, fits in your hand-ish. And this guy is one of the more affordable continuous duty pumps. I believe it's 250 bucks US, somewhere around there. I'll find the actual price and link it below. 3D printed, made a cool little stand for it, so it sits on the edge of the glass. Just kind of a more compact thing. And I have mine pushing through the reactor. So what that means is it's sucking water from right down below. It pushes it into the reactor. So this right here is, or this one. Yeah, so this is the line that pushes into it. And it's pushing through it. It flows through the reactor. And then the force pushes it out of this one, comes all the way down and back over. And you can see the dripping right over there. I currently having mine running at 24 mils per minute. Now, overall, I love this pump. My only one complaint is on lower speeds. It gets a bit of a little harmonic sound. Like, I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but it's more high-pitched. And I find as you go faster, it's actually quieter to an extent. So I've been running it right around 24. That's because I find where it gets quieter. At 23, I hear a tiny little high-pitched kind of like electronic whine noise. Now for the CO2 tank. I have a 10-pound CO2 tank, lovely and white to match my stand. Using the American Marine Pinpoint, I believe it is, CO2 regulator. Now this guy is, one cool thing is it's a DC solenoid on it. Sometimes I've heard rumors of AC ones can stick. Now this guy, being DC, it shouldn't heat up and it should be less of an issue, not have to worry about sticking. So far I've been using this since my old tank. It's been a solid little regulator and setup. Super tiny compact. There is no second stage valve. I believe it's pre-tuned to around 30 PSI. Only tiny complaint was it's very sensitive to turning it. So if you use a screwdriver, like a hair of a turn will adjust it. So it's very precise little tiny adjustments to do it. And to sweeten the deal with everything, I have the Alcatronic, which tests the tank every 12 hours, which I absolutely love because between the Alcatronic and the Kimura pump and the calcium reactor, it is such an easy setup. If I see my alkalinity trending upwards or downwards, I walk up and go bloop, add 1 more mil to the thing if I need more elk. If I have too much, bloop, bloop, turn it down in a sec. So super easy. That's like honestly the dream setup. It's not the cheapest setup in the world, obviously, but pretty awesome. Now, yes, there is a rat's nest of wires. This will be cleaned up soon. If you look this way, it's pretty good, and then it slowly gets messier as we go over here. This is because this board is temporary and it's going to be replaced soon. If you guys remember my live streams from a while back, I had Kyle from Adaptive Reef on, and he was helping play with cool designs for stands. And I wanted to get a full setup from him, but that was a little outside my budget, so settling for a control board and side panels, which I'm extremely stoked for because everything that guy does is amazing. So hopefully in the next week or two I'll have that. I'm going to redo my control board, and I'll actually finish cleaning up my wires. So I do have the Neptune Apex hiding between the rat's nest. I got 2 EB832 power bars, and I have a dose. The dose actually isn't actually doing anything right now, it's just kind of there for fun. The 2 lines are ran to the output, but there's nothing feeding it, it's not actually dosing. I may use this for trace elements soon. Still got to figure out which ones to get, but that will be coming shortly. And as for the power bars, I have all my power bars stuck to the bottom of the tank. Ecotech Marine has these really cool brackets with Velcro that you can screw up. I did that, so when you're looking at the tank, you don't see them, and it doesn't take up all that valuable real estate. So tons of power bars stuck up to the bottom, and I still have a couple more I need to mount, so I'll pick up a few more of those little Velcro attachments, but it's a great way to do it. Along the back of the tank, I do have the stuff called Panduit, which is a wire channel, and that is hiding all my wires, so you can see the big mess of wires. It keeps it all nice and tidy looking. So I cannot wait for the new control panel. So I'm going to have all the Ecotech drivers on this side, and then probably all the other equipment will be on this side. Super stoked for it. Placed my order with him a few weeks ago, so just eagerly waiting for it to show up in the mail. Cannot wait. Looks like the lights are almost at full brightness. We kind of started this mid-ramp up in the morning. A little bit of a coffee reef time. Now, like I mentioned earlier, I am debating upping my lights just for like, say, 2 or 3 hours of the day, just to see how that affects coloration or if I notice any big difference. The NEM trap looks like it's starting to work pretty well. It's almost coming out. I can't wait for him to fully come out. I was actually going to do a video just on this, but then he wasn't fully cooperating, and I think it's too soon to move it, and I worry I'm not going to fully get him off. So we're gonna give it a few more days and we'll see what happens with that. Back to the nano tank. Quick sneak peek, you'll notice how clean and pristine that sand bed is. Think of all the rock flowers that are coming. Super stoked. This is going to be kind of the rock flower tank mainly. I'll leave what's on top probably. On the bottom, just picture all rock flowers. And I really want to try spawning rock flowers. That's going to be a big project for the next little while. Just figuring out exactly what to do, how to make them happy, how to spawn them. They're amazing little creatures, so can't wait. So that should be a fun one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that coffee time reef update. If you did, make sure to smash that like button. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe because I do new videos every single week. Now, if you guys have questions on anything I talked about today, let me know in the comments below. Always happy to help. If there's something that I talked about, I usually try and link it in the description. If it is something that you want to pick up and you do purchase it through my links, I get a little bit of a kickback at whatever place, which helps me fund new equipment and new stuff to review and provide more content for you guys, so I always appreciate it. If the channel helps you out, if you're enjoying it, you know, want to support it, that's one way you can do it with no extra cost or anything for you guys, so always much appreciated. And I also want to throw a big shout out to Kevin and Robert, my 2 Patreons. Thank you guys, I appreciate you. I will set up a kind of a private hangout to answer questions, all that type of stuff for you guys in the next couple days, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.